They were supposed to be shut down. That was the plan. That was the warning. When NASCAR stripped 23XI Racing of their charters, it wasn't just about contracts. It was a shot across the bow. A declaration that no one, not even Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, could defy the system and walk away clean. NASCAR wanted obedience. And when they didn't get it, they brought the hammer down. A charter in NASCAR is more than just paper. It's protection. It's guaranteed money. It's a seat at the table. Lose that, and you're not just racing with risk. You're racing without a safety net. And that's exactly what happened when 23XI and Front Row Motorsports said no to the new 2025 charter agreement. They didn't sign. They didn't fall in line. They challenged the entire structure. And for that, NASCAR made them outsiders. But the outsiders didn't fold. They fought back. And last week, they won. In a legal twist no one saw coming, 23XI Racing walked out of court with a shocking victory that sent waves through the sport. Not a full win, not yet, but enough to force NASCAR into a corner. Enough to make the sport change its rules. Quietly, desperately, behind the scenes. Let me explain how big this is. When the court first stepped in last year, they gave 23XI a temporary win, a preliminary injunction that let them race with their charters still active. That was December. Fast forward to June 5th of this year, and that win was ripped away by the Fourth Circuit Court. Suddenly, 23XI and FRM were back to open team status. No guarantees, no money cushion. If more than 40 teams show up for a race, they could be sent home. That's not just embarrassing, that's financial ruin. You miss one race, you lose hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. It was a disaster waiting to happen. So 23XI went back to court, pleading for an emergency block to stop NASCAR from enforcing the charter revocation. The judge denied the request, but slipped in one sentence that changed everything. If these teams are in danger of missing a race, that could be considered irreparable harm. Boom. One line. That's all it took. Because if NASCAR allowed more than 40 cars in a race and 23XI missed the cut, the court could step in, force NASCAR's hand, possibly even reinstate the charters. NASCAR saw the threat, and just like that, something changed. Quietly, subtly, a new rule appeared in the NASCAR handbook. It read, NASCAR, at its sole discretion, may elect to limit the number of entries for a race to 40. In such instances, open teams will be determined based on team owner point standings. Translation? NASCAR just promised no more than 40 cars per race, and if it comes down to open teams, they'll choose based on points. And guess who has points? 23XI and FRM. Make no mistake, this wasn't generosity. This was damage control. NASCAR rewrote the rulebook to keep the court out of their business. They saw the trap and backed off before it sprung. But here's the kicker. This isn't a win for NASCAR. It's a sign they're scared. They blinked. Because when you have to rewrite your own rules just to keep the court from punishing you, that's not dominance. That's retreat. That's the sound of power slipping through your fingers. And Denny Hamlin? He saw it all, and he's not done. He stood in front of reporters and said, all will be exposed in December. Not maybe, not if, all will be exposed. What's he got? Documents? Emails? Maybe recordings? No one knows for sure, but the confidence in his voice was real. He even told reporters, mark your calendar, December 1st. That's the date this whole thing goes nuclear. That's when the courtroom stops being a legal venue and becomes a battlefield. Because Hamlin isn't just fighting for 23XI. He's fighting to blow the lid off NASCAR's entire power structure. And while Hamlin rages, someone else has gone silent. Tyler Reddick. The very same Reddick who brought 23XI to the championship for last season. The one whose contract includes an escape clause, a secret deal that lets him walk away if the team loses its charter. And that clause? It's now officially active. When reporters asked Hamlin about it, he dodged. When Reddick was pushed, nothing. No answer. No smile. Just cold silence. And silence right now is terrifying. Because it's not just about losing a driver. It's about what losing him means. If Reddick walks, sponsors follow. Momentum crashes. And suddenly, 23XI goes from contender to survivor. Not because they weren't fast, but because they asked the wrong questions. Let's be honest. NASCAR wanted this whole thing to disappear. They hoped Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan would get scared, take a deal, and walk away quietly. But that didn't happen. Instead, 23XI Racing doubled down. They didn't just fight back, they put the entire charter system on trial, and the court didn't laugh them out. In fact, the court might be ready to agree, because as it stands in mid-August, the lawsuit is very much alive. The court hasn't ruled it out. They haven't dismissed the case. What we're looking at now is the biggest threat to NASCAR's power since the charter system began in 2016. That system, which was supposed to give teams value and stability, is now being painted as a monopoly, a power grab by the France family to control who gets paid and who gets ignored. Hamlin's legal team is going all in. They're arguing that NASCAR's charter setup breaks antitrust laws, that it squeezes out smaller teams, that it locks in the rich and locks out everyone else. And remember, this isn't just a legal fight, it's a public one. Every headline, every court filing, every quote is building pressure on NASCAR to answer questions they've avoided for years. And now, even the fans are starting to ask, who's really in charge of this sport? Because here's what no one at Daytona Beach wants to admit. The moment NASCAR quietly changed the rule book to protect itself from the court, they showed their hand. They knew the danger. They knew the court might rule in favor of 23-11, so they panicked. They added a line to the rules to avoid that irreparable harm the judge mentioned. It wasn't confidence, it was a shield. And now, 23-11. Racing is using that moment as fuel. They're building a case that NASCAR isn't just enforcing rules, they're rewriting them mid-fight, just to keep control. And that's a narrative that could win in court. But let's not forget what's at stake. If 23-11 loses this case, it's more than a legal defeat. It's a financial blow that could shake the team's future. No charter means no guaranteed income, no protections. You live and die by your qualifying run, and one bad day could send your entire operation home. Millions lost, morale shattered, and with Tyler Reddick already sitting on an open escape hatch, it could be the beginning of a collapse. But if they win, this could flip NASCAR upside down. A court ruling against the charter system would mean a full-scale rebuild. NASCAR would have to rethink how teams are included, how money is shared, and how power is divided. It would crack open the old boys club that's kept control for decades. It would let in new owners, new voices, and yes, maybe even real equality between the teams. And the scariest part for NASCAR? This case isn't going away quietly. Denny Hamlin isn't playing games. When he said, "All will be exposed in December," he was daring NASCAR to keep going. He's not looking for a payout. He's looking for a spotlight. He wants everything in the open, the contracts, the private emails, the backroom deals. He wants to show fans what's really going on behind the scenes. And that makes him dangerous, because if he has the proof, if the courtroom becomes a stage for all of NASCAR's secrets, this could be the biggest scandal in the sport's history. Bigger than debris cautions, bigger than phantom penalties. This would be about who gets rich and who gets buried, all based on loyalty, not performance. And here's what makes it even more wild. NASCAR can't fully fight back. They can't risk bringing this case to trial and having all their business practices put under a microscope. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Settle and look weak, or fight and risk losing everything. And through it all, Michael Jordan, the biggest name in sports, is just watching, waiting, letting Hamlin swing. If 23-11 wins this battle, Jordan becomes the face of the biggest power shift NASCAR's ever seen. But if they lose, his brand takes a hit, his team takes a hit, and he may decide this game isn't worth playing anymore. That's how high the stakes are. This isn't just about rules, it's about survival, about legacy, about whether NASCAR belongs to the people who risk everything every Sunday, or to the boardrooms who never touch the track. So as the calendar ticks down to December 1st, the sport holds its breath. Will the judge break the system wide open? Will Hamlin really deliver the receipts? Will NASCAR bend, break, or fight back with everything they've got? And here's the question we leave with you. Is 23-11 racing tearing NASCAR apart? Or are they finally fixing what's been broken for years? Let us know where you stand, because this fight isn't just about them. It's about the future of the sport, and the final lap is coming.